Hey everybody, Vince August here. It is Thursday, May 23rd, 2024, and I wanted to do a broadcast having to do with some of the sports news that's going on. By the way, I'm getting a look at myself on the screen. Looks a little grainy. Hopefully the picture is good at home. I don't know why I have such a grainy picture right now. Hopefully it's cool where you guys are. One of the stories that I wanted to jump into is this arrest with this golfer, Scott Scheffler. Um, it's been really interesting following this story, and I wanted to wait this one out rather than jump in like everyone else did on it. But one of the things I found amazing, and I'm going to beat up Fox News on this really hard. When I see conservative news always talk about police, back the blue, blue lives matter, all of that, cops are always right. They usually side on the side of police officers. And then something like this happens, and they take the approach of, it's just a misunderstanding. The guy's going to a golf tournament. There was a lot happening. It was early. They're going to drop the charges. And one person that really got under my skin with this was Judge Janine Pirro. She tried to downplay this thing like it was a no big deal. To his credit, Greg Gutfeld kind of laid off it and was just like, I don't see it the way you guys do. Exactly the same way. But a lot of them were really giving this golfer the benefit of the doubt. It's just a mishap. It was this, it was that. I'm sure. And Judge Janine said, I'm sure they're going to drop the charges. And I'm sitting there watching and I'm going, why? Why are they dropping the charges? For those of you who don't know, so there was a pro golf association big event happening. And this guy, Scott Scheffler, is like one of, I guess, the best players in the world. By the way, I always do full disclosure. I don't watch golf. I'm not a golf fan. I don't golf. I don't have a dog in the fight. It's not like I'm a fan of one golfer as opposed to the other. If Scott Scheffler was standing in front of me right now, I probably wouldn't even know it's Scott Scheffler. So I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm attacking this purely legal hat on and trying to get into this. Okay. So apparently he's going to a PGA event and he's leaving his place 4:00 in the morning, 5:00 in the morning. It's in Kentucky. And as he's driving to the event, he comes upon an accident scene. From my understanding, the accident scene included a fatality. So there is lights flashing all over the place. And you can see from the video, lights flashing all over the place. There should be police tape up. There should be barricades up. He comes up on the scene, and the thing that everyone is saying is, well, there was a lot of confusion as to what was going on. Now, he's got a pass on his car that says, I have to go to this golf tournament. I have access to the golf tournament. But the pass is for the country club. The pass is for the golf club. The pass isn't, I could drive through accident scenes. The pass isn't, I could do whatever I want to do. I don't have to obey traffic laws. The pass is purely and strictly for him getting to this country club, golf, whatever it is that he's got to get to, and it gives him access there. Okay. As an attorney who practices personal injury law, who practices criminal defense law, who's been a judge, you have to preserve a crime scene. And when there's an auto accident and there's a fatality, and you have to determine cause of death, whether it's for criminal liability purposes, whether it's for its insurance purposes, you've got to secure a crime scene. You can't have a crime scene contaminated. And for those of you like, well, what happened? Always go back to the main thing. O.J. Simpson. You contaminate a crime scene. You have people in there touching things they shouldn't be touching. Boom. There's your problem. Okay. So, and normally what happens in these situations is you get photographers out there to take pictures. You have to preserve it and make it look exactly the way it did, because then they have experts that come out and start looking at tire marks, skid marks, all this other stuff. You can see while this is going on, it is pitch black out. It is dark. The only lights you can see are from the headlamps and the overhead police lights. Okay, fine, whatever. You can tell there's something going on here. A lot of times what happens in these situations, because it's dark, the person that comes that recreates the crime scene will videotape, take photographs of what the elements were at that moment, but they can't do an analysis without sunlight. They can't do an analysis without having spotlights set up to show them the actual scene because, again, it's dark. Okay. So, what do? You preserve the crime scene. What do the police do? They provide an alternate route to cross where you don't go through the crime scene. Apparently, this guy rolls up on the crime scene, accident scene. I don't know if it was a crime. So, let me stop saying crime scene. Accident scene with a fatality. Please forgive me for calling it a crime scene because I don't know if it's a crime. Take that back. Accident scene with a fatality. He comes up on it. There's a police officer there. And again, immediately, the people that I saw anyway, especially Judge Nero, Fox News, and I think Harold Ford was also, he didn't really understand what was going on. And the officer, was giving him instructions and they didn't understand each other. I don't know that that was the case, but he decides on driving straight through this accident scene. And the officer actually latches onto the vehicle to stop him. Now, some people say, I don't know why the officer latched onto the vehicle. Again, these are the same people that always defend cops. And he was latching onto the vehicle because apparently the Scott Scheffler guy's not paying attention to the instructions he's getting. And he's stopping this car from going through. He drags this cop from his car. Cop winds up going to the hospital with injuries. How significant the injuries are, I don't know. I don't have the guy's medical report. But a cop gets dragged from a car bad enough to go to the hospital with injuries. Once again, professional golfer, I don't care what you do. You drag a cop from a car, 99% of the time, conservative media is all over the guy dragging a car. I heard people on Fox go, I don't know why this cop did this. So we go, again, from back to blue, always, Blue Lives Matter, to, this cop. Cop winds up finally stopping this guy. They arrest this guy, Scott Scheffler. And it's amazing how this thing was made like into this joke. Like they made light of it. They're like, and he even said, I did my stretches in the cell. I was in the police cell, and jail cell, and I was doing my stretches in the cell. And everyone was, he's doing the stretches. And, wow, what a go. And he went out and played a magnificent round. What an incredible athlete. Listen, I hate to do the whataboutism. I hate when something happens and they always say, oh, if Biden said this, if Trump said this, it would be a different thing. But you know what? Because they do it, I'm going to do it. If this was a black NFL football player that dragged a cop through a fatality accident scene, you better bet your ass that they would have been all over that football player, maybe even baseball player, maybe even basketball player. If this was LeBron James going somewhere, I wonder what the reaction would have been. If this was a pro-Biden anything athlete, if this was Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, I wonder what the reaction would have been. It would have been, entitlement. These athletes think they could do whatever they want to do. I'm speculating. I'm guessing. I'm doing a lot of whataboutism. But I feel comfortable doing that in this situation because of the way it's always black back to blue versus, this giving this guy a pass. Okay. So story took a huge turn today. And I want to read, and I'm getting this from CNBC. Golf champ Scotty Scheffler arrest video released. Officer broke body cam rules. Now, here's another thing. There was no body cam footage of what happened. Everything was off this, the one camera that was set up that was, I guess, covering this fatality. Okay, so that's the first problem. And I had my suspicions about why, but whatever. I didn't want to get into conspiracy theories. Key points. A Louisville, Kentucky police detective violated department policy by not turning on his body camera while arresting golf champion Scott Scheffler, the city police chief said. Now, this officer just got dragged from a car. His temperature's running hot, I'm sure. Forgets to turn the body cam on. Why he doesn't have it on while he's at the accident scene covering this fatality is a whole other question. Normally, when an officer shows up at a scene, whether it's an accident scene with a fatality, without a fatality, first thing you do is you have your dash cam, your body cam, you make sure that they're both on. So why this guy's body cam wasn't on, I don't know. The fact that it wasn't on covering the accident scene, problem. The fact that he didn't turn it on after he got dragged, well, it could have been an adrenaline issue. But anyway, he's in trouble. Video of Scheffler's arrest after he tried to drive into the golf club hosting the PGA Championship were released by authorities. Scheffler is charged with felony assault on the detective, Brian Gillis. That's the detective. The golfer said the incident was due to a misunderstanding. Aren't they all? Aren't all arrests, aren't all motor vehicle stops due to a misunderstanding? Anyway, okay. Louisville, Kentucky police detective violated department policy by not activating his camera during a controversial arrest of Scotty Scheffler. Why it's a controversial arrest, I have no idea. Last week, when a top-ranked golfer was trying to drive to the PGA Championships venue, that's what the police chief said. Detective Brian Gillis, quote, should have turned his body-worn camera, but did not, quote. That was at a press conference issued today. Now, as I understand it, the charges are not being dropped. So he was arrested for driving past a police roadblock at the Valhalla Golf Club, according to ESPN. Number one golfer in the world. I don't give a crap what he is. He tried to drive past the golf club. Let's see what was he detained for? Booked at 7:28 a.m. Friday. He was charged with felony second-degree assault on a police officer. That's a serious charge. That's a potential jail charge. You put a guy like this in jail, well, if he's got no history, if the mitigating factors outweigh the aggravating factors, probably not. Even on the second degree, probably gets downgraded to a third. No presumption of imprisonment. Along with a lesser charge of third-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, disregarding signals from officers, directing traffic. Now, here's the thing. So we have this second-degree charge, third-degree charge, and a criminal mischief charge. A lot of times what happens in a situation like this, the prosecutor, the DA, whatever you want to call them, will look at this and say, all right, we got these two charges. We'll downgrade the second to a third, the third to a fourth degree, and we got the criminal mischief. Third degree, there's no presumption of imprisonment. You can go through a pretrial diversion program. You can get some form of probation, whatever. The second degree charge doesn't necessarily stick as a second degree. It could get downgraded depending upon all of the different factors in the investigation. Plus, if you have a lack of evidence because of the body cam footage, it becomes a he said situation, and we don't have the best evidence, which would have been the body camera footage as a result of the police officer's mistake. So it's their lack of discovery, and we have these conflicting reports. So based on the evidence, we're going to downgrade the charge. That I'm completely fine with. But this notion that, again, people like Janine Pirro, and by the way, I don't know Janine Pirro. I've never met Janine Pirro. I'm going to be on Gutfeld tomorrow. I have no problem with Janine Pirro, but the fact that she can dismissively say this is, a misunderstanding, they're probably going to dismiss all of the charges. Look, I was a municipal court judge for 6 years. She was a judge on a higher court level. She should know better than to just casually say they're probably going to dismiss all the charges. When you dismiss a felony charge, a prosecutor's got to stand in front of a judge at some point in time and give a factual basis, a legal basis for why these charges are being dismissed. So, for example, a DWI in the state of New Jersey, you can't plea bargain a DWI. No plea bargains. It's a DWI and nothing else. You can't plea bargain a DW down to a reckless driving. Plain, simple. You're either guilty of the DWI, not guilty of the DWI, or the DWI is dismissed because either you didn't meet all of the elements of the 12 forms in the Chun standard, or there's no probable cause. There was an issue with regards to how the Alka test was taken, whether or not there was 20 minutes of observation, all kinds of, mouth alcohol from burping, all kinds of reasons why you could dismiss. But you can't plea bargain it. And a prosecutor's got to stand up in a court in front of a judge and say, Judge, here's why we're dismissing it. We didn't have 20 minutes of observation. We didn't have a simulated solution test. The Alka test operator was not certified. His certification expired. One of 12 different reasons. Okay. There was no probable cause on the stop. It was an illegal stop for whatever reason. Okay. You've got to articulate the reason why this charge is getting dismissed. And I like that because for this local department, and it's not local, it's Louisville, Kentucky, for this department to take a cavalier approach and be like, it was a misunderstanding. We're going to drop the charges. You're going to have a lot of people say, well, hold on a second. Why does this white, rich golfer get off of this? When I get the same treatment, me, average citizen Joe Blow, with any other athlete, if a black football player, get the same privilege. Let me ask you this. What if this was a 19-year-old kid, an 18-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid on a provisional license? Would that person, male or female, get the same treatment as Scott Scheffler by just, let's just dismiss the charges? I don't think so. So, you got to be really, really careful when you just have these people on these networks and these news networks and these, it was a misunderstanding, dismiss the charge. I got to tell you, I'm calling bullshit on these people. Complete bullshit. Okay. That's that story. Want to move on to the Shohei Ohtani thing. He's apparently had this interpreter, and the interpreter, and again, I waited for a while on this because I wanted to get all of the facts. And, the story just kept getting worse and worse. So this interpreter, I'm going to butcher his last name. Ippei is the first name. Ippei Mizuhara. Mizuhara. If I'm saying the name wrong, my apologies. Doing the best I can to get this right. All right. So as of April 30th, 2024, this was the article I pulled on this from CBS. Money allegedly stolen was funneled through casinos. So, huge twist here. So, money allegedly stolen from Los Angeles Dodger star Shohei Ohtani by his interpreter and longtime friend, Ippei Mizuhara, was funneled to an illegal bookmaker through casinos in California and Las Vegas. So, we got an illegal bookmaker. Okay. Mizuhara is alleged to have stolen more than $16 million. $16 million. This started off, it was like 4 or 5 million. 16 million. Listen, I know this guy gets paid a lot of money, $200 million. I don't care who you are. You're missing $16 million. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Okay. Through a series of $500,000 wire transfers over a period of several years. So I guess it's the old adage, you'll certainly miss $16 million all at once, but maybe not $500,000 here and there. Again, I'm calling bullshit on that. I don't know anybody who's that wealthy that you're going to not see $500,000. Anyway, maybe people like Bezos, I don't know. The series of $500,000 payments Mizuhara sent from Shohei Ohtani's bank account to an illegal bookmaking operation were forwarded to California and Las Vegas casinos where money was deposited into gambling accounts converted to playing chips, and later cashed out to pay the bookie. So it's almost like a money laundering thing where it went from bank account to casino, deposited into a gambling account so you could gamble with the money, but then it was converted to playing chips. And then they would take the playing chips, go cash out the playing chip. I mean, this is a hell of a scheme. Matthew Bowyer, Bowyer, the California bookmaker who took Mizahara's bets, was a frequent customer at Las Vegas Casino's Resorts World. The sources told ESPN that Mizahara paid his losses to Bowyer's associate, who forwarded the money to his own marker accounts at Resorts World and Pechanga Resort Casino in Southern California. By the way, I performed there. Great venue. The men then withdrew the chips from the marker account, gambled with them, and if they won, they cashed out. Sports betting is illegal in California, and Bowyer is under federal investigation. Mr. Howard's name popped up while Los Angeles Times reporting the investigation, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the key to this story for me is the money came from Shohei Ohtani's bank accounts. Listen, man, again, I don't care what language you speak. There's one language we all speak, and that's money. You mean to tell me Shohei Ohtani is so disconnected from his finances that he never sees his own bank statements? And the fact that it was $500,000 withdrawals bothers me even more. Because now if you're telling me it's $500,000 here or $500,000 there, now you're telling me it's not happening in 5 or 6 withdrawals. Now you're telling me it's possible, if it's 16 million, possibly 32 withdrawals? You mean to tell me the bank is not contacting Ohtani's accountant, lawyer? He doesn't have, I have an app on my phone that if I use over an amount on a credit card, it flags me and tells me. You mean to tell me this guy has got so much money that his bank account doesn't tell him when $500,000 is being wired out of his account? Now, again, putting on my lawyer hat, anytime I do a wire transfer from a trust account, business account, anytime I do a wire transfer from my own personal account, I get from my bank a separate envelope sent to me with that specific wire transaction. Forget about my monthly statements. I get a separate transaction report. Again, you mean to tell me this guy's so disconnected from his money? He's got so many layers of people between him, from accountants, lawyers, and everything else, that he's not seeing his own bank accounts. He's not seeing any transactions from his bank accounts at all. I find that hard to believe. I really find that hard to believe. Now, Vin, well, what are you saying, Vin? What I'm saying is I think Major League Baseball has this amazing, shining star athlete that they got to cover for. You got to cover for this guy. You can't let Shohei Ohtani go down in flames. You can't. You're top 5 famous baseball players right now. I think they have to protect him at all costs. And we have 2 interesting stories here. One, protecting the best golfer in the world at all costs. 2, protecting one of the best baseball players at all costs. Seeing the parallels where I'm going today? Which brings me to my third story, Caitlyn Clark. All right, so Caitlyn Clark is the Iowa basketball female phenom that dominated women's college basketball. Absolutely dominated it. Gets a deal with, I think it was Nike, all kinds of crazy money. Gets a contract to play in the WNBA. And people immediately go nuts saying her contract, which was like, I don't even know. How much was the contract? Hold on, let me go. How much is Caitlyn Clark contract? And of course, what comes up is the Nike contract with the WNBA. All right. Caitlyn Clark can earn up to $500,000 during a rookie season. Her contract is a $76,535 in base salary, part of a 4-year, $338,000 deal. Now, people went nuts on this. People went absolutely nuts and said, oh my God, $76,000 compared to what NBA players make. That's ridiculous. Are you kidding me? Look, I will tell you this. You want to tell me it sounds like a low amount of money for a professional athlete to be making? Yeah. In light of all the other sports? Yeah. You want to tell me it's not a lot of money for a WNBA player to be making? No. You're not going to tell me that, because if I Google highest paid WNBA player, okay, you have Jackie Young makes $252,000, Joel Lloyd 245, and that's the high end. Then you get, let's go as far as the 10th paid player. Alyssa Thomas, $209,000, still doing pretty good. All the way down to, and then when you get to 17 on the list, it's $200,000 a year. Okay, so rookie player comes in and makes $76,000 a year. Here's the kicker. Most of these athletes, when they sign these deals, it's not necessarily the money they get from the sport they're playing. It's all the other deals. She signs a deal with Nike worth more money than I think anybody in the WNBA has ever signed on to. So highest WNBA player salary, and let's do player footwear salary. And we go to that. And then, does any WNBA player have a footwear? There was Sabrina Ionescu does. And then here's Caitlyn Clark, $28 million over the next 8 years. Her basketball contract's 4 years. She's got a $28 million 8-year contract. She may not even play 8 years. She's got $28 million. And then she just signed a deal with, I think it was Wilson. So Caitlyn Clark's going to be fine. And people got crazy over, they don't make as much as the NBA players. Well, first of all, the NBA season is 82 games. WNBA season is, I think, 28 games. And the reason that number, because I think the numbers were flip-flopped, where it was 82 and 28. Second thing is, the NBA subsidizes the WNBA. So the WNBA on its own loses money. The NBA actually pays money into the WNBA to keep it in existence. Listen, you want these people to make more money? Put asses in seats. They don't draw the same amount. They don't create the same type of television revenue. You can't give out money you don't have. And it's almost like they want the WNBA to take this governmental approach of just print money, I guess. This is not the federal government. You can't just print money. Teams can't go into bankruptcy paying one player. The fact that the highest paid player is making $250,000 a year, and this young girl hasn't even shot a basketball in the WNBA, is making, roughly 80 grand a year. Hey, listen, show up, ball, and you're going to get the money. Now, let's talk about, show up and ball. I have to tell you, the difference between college and pro is huge. And not all of these great players pan out. And this goes for every sport. Baseball players, pitchers that can throw 90, 100 miles an hour, bust out. Football players, ask the New York Jets about all the quarterbacks they've drafted over the year. Ryan Leaf, all these guys that were phenomenal college athletes get to the pros. Different game, different speed. You want to talk about college basketball? I'll give you one of the male college basketball players. Christian Laettner was going to be the guy out of Duke. hits this amazing shot in the NCAA tournament against Kentucky. He was going to be, they put him on the U.S. Olympic team before he did jack shit in the NBA. Career a bust. It happens. So far from what I've seen, and again, that I'm going to tell you I watched her in Iowa, no. That I'm going to tell you I've been watching the WNBA games, no. I did a snapshot of her shooting percentage, college to pro. It's not even close. Because now she's going up against the best of the best every night. In college, you can have a tremendous season if you're not playing the likes of LSU, South Carolina, Stanford every night. If you're in a conference, and I don't know how good the Big Ten is at basketball, but if you're in a conference where, there's not that level of competition, you're going to look like a complete baller. Then get to the WNBA and play real competition, night in, night out, and you're going to get exposed. And right now, her numbers are nowhere near her college numbers. Her shooting percentage way down. She's a turnover machine, absolute turnover machine. She was never a good ball handler. From the video that I watched of her at Iowa, the video I've seen of her in the WNBA, she's not a great ball handler. So you take not a great ball handler, you can shoot from the logo in Iowa because the other team isn't going to cover you the same way. Now that you have the best of the best shouting you up and down the court, and you have a player all over you all game long, and you're not putting up the same numbers, now all of a sudden you don't look like the $250,000 player. Now you're starting to look like an $80,000 nice player that needs to develop their game further. So is she paid what she's supposed to be paid at $80,000? Or did Nike and Wilson jump the gun and give her too big of an endorsement deal now that they're looking at her and saying, she's an average player now. She's not exactly, shooting the lights out the way she was in Iowa. So look, there were a lot of people that were loving on her, a lot of people hating on her. And my attitude is, let's let it play out. Let's let it play out and see. So far, you could see, though, I think it's pretty undeniable. Huge drop in the game. And that's understandable. It's understandable. It happens college to pro. You have to adjust to the game. Maybe that's why her contract is what it is. So, the moral of tonight's story, 3 different athletes. One, a pro golfer, given a huge benefit of doubt, given a pass against police officers, which are, the conservative networks, normally 100% behind police officers. We give the athlete the pass. Okay. We have Asian baseball sensation, Shohei Ohtani. He didn't know what was going on. Covered up. Female basketball phenom, Caitlyn Clark. Look, she's not getting paid enough. Good for her. She got this endorsement deal. You know what? Girl power, we're behind her all the way. Not exactly so far living up to the standard. And what do we have here? We have 3 snapshots, 3 completely different athletes. Golfer, baseball player, basketball player. Also, white guy, Asian guy, white woman. The common theme is professional athlete. We put these people either on a huge pedestal where they're infallible, or we love to hate on them for this. Once they screw up, Michael Vick, O.J. Simpson, who was the linebacker from the Baltimore? Ray Lewis, Ray Rice. When they screw up, we hammer them. Scotty Scheffler is not getting hammered. So it's this weird thing we have with athletes in this country where maybe just treat them like people, Let me see if there's any comments coming in. Matt Walters getting a Caitlyn Clark jersey. Yeah, listen, man, I have no problem. I'm not hating on the girl. I'm not. I'm saying she's either worth the 80,000, she's worth the 28 million. Right now, it's too soon to tell, what she's truly worth. Her game, Matt, you got to be honest. Her game is dipped, college to pro. But what I'm saying is that you had to expect that. You had to expect it. I'm not hating on her for her game dipping. What I'm saying is until she proved herself, I think she's worth the 80 grand a year she's getting in the WNBA, which is a nice salary considering what these teams make. Her team is 0-5. Now did Michael Jordan go to the Bulls and make them an instant winner the way Larry Bird made the Celtics turn their season around, the way Magic Johnson rose the level of, the Lakers? Look at Zion out of Duke. He didn't immediately turn that team around. He's kind of pedestrian. Sometimes you got to let these players develop. So again, I call tonight a sports broadcast. It's not really sports. It's more about one, the law, two, the law, three, the economics behind sports. So wanted to do something different. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I know I gave no notice on Facebook. I've been telling everybody you got to come to YouTube. This is where videos get monetized. Facebook is nice for my fans to follow me. You got to follow me for videos on YouTube. Same thing when it comes to X. I'm probably going to look to monetize there as well because they have different things going on. If I'm going to spend this time, I want to do it someplace where I can monetize it as opposed to just throwing it out. Yes, it is time equals money. Okay. Hopefully you enjoyed. Let me know if you watched live or on the replay. If you leave questions or comments that you want me to have banter with you, I'd love to do it. If you leave insulting remarks, you get banned. If you just came here to tell me I'm an a-hole, I don't care what you think. I'm just going to ban you. I'm not going to go at it with you. You're not going to jerk my chain. Complete stranger I don't know who probably has their picture is of a cat or an alligator or something benign or some emoji or something like that, some human being that I don't even know who you are. You're not going to jerk my chain. So you want to have a discourse? Great. And by the way, listen, I could be wrong on Scotty Scheffler. I could be wrong on Ohtani. I could be wrong on Caitlyn Clark. My name is not Chris Cuomo. When I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong, and I will learn from being wrong. So if you have something that tells me I'm wrong, educate me. Help me out. I don't have all the answers. So love to have it. Update tomorrow night. If you're watching this on Thursday, May 23rd, tomorrow night, I will be on Gutfeld. I have a show coming up at Scotty's in Springfield, New Jersey. They're closing their doors. I think they've been open for like 30 years. Pandemic hit them hard. They never quite rebounded. They're closing their doors. I'm doing my last headline show there, June 21st, Scotty's Comedy Club, Springfield, New Jersey. I will be back headlining in Naples, Florida, Off the Hook Comedy Club, July 2nd, July 3rd. Everybody, thank you for following me. Thank you for coming here to YouTube. Spread the word, like, share, subscribe, all of that stuff. You guys are awesome. Thank you.